Hi, welcome to another video. So Sonnet 5 is finally here. The model is supposed to be their new best model, and it costs less than Opus. Fable is also supposed to be restored tomorrow. Anyway, this model is definitely a bit interesting. They position it as having performance close to that of Opus 4.8, but at lower prices. They say that it's a substantial improvement over its predecessor, Sonnet 4.6, in important aspects of agentic performance like reasoning, tool use, coding, and knowledge work. I haven't seen such a small benchmark chart from Anthropic until now, and I have been covering their models since Sonnet 3, so yeah, that is kind of weird to see. There are only 5 benchmarks here, which are Terminal Bench, HLE, OS World Verified, and GDP Eval. The model still generally scores lower than Opus 4.8 across most benchmarks. There are some more evaluations in their system card, but they also mostly tell the same story. The model launches with introductory pricing of $2 per million input tokens and $10 per million output tokens through August 31, 2026, after which it will be priced at $3 per million input tokens and $15 per million output tokens. So it's quite cheap until August, and then the price will increase. If we look at the artificial analysis results, then it is pretty interesting because Sonnet now costs $2.29 per average task, which is higher than the previous Sonnet, and even Opus, and just shy of Fable 5, which is so interesting. Now, the performance is also quite similar to what you see with GLM-5.2. For example, GLM-5.2 only costs 0.29 cents per task, and the performance is pretty much similar. Now, I also tried it, and this model is pretty bad. Like, even in general performance, without talking about the cost, it is pretty bad. For example, let's look at my benchmark. So, the elevator simulator is fine, but the logic is all over the place. For example, the elevators always work one after another. It is not async, so they cannot work while the other one is also working. The layout is not very good either. Then we have the ThreeJS model for a contact lens case, and this one is also pretty bad, because unfortunately it doesn't even load. I tried 2 or 3 more prompts asking it to fix it, but it wasn't able to do that, so there's that. Plus it was also given access to the Ego browser, which allowed it to also check its work, and it did that, but it still didn't work. Then we have the ThreeJS folding table, and this one is pretty good. The folding animation works pretty well without much issue at all. Then we have the SVG panda eating a burger, and this one is not that good and is pretty weird by current standards, obviously. If you have seen the GLM 5.2 generation, then you'd know what I'm talking about here. Then we have the bow and arrow simulator game, and it still doesn't work. This one is not working either, so yeah, this is also bad. It also doesn't work. The math question is also not answered correctly. The fine-tuning works fine, and it did fine, but it didn't make as much data for fine-tuning as Opus or GLM does, and it also didn't make the interface look that good either, so there's that. Now, the model is basically on par with Opus 4.7. It is not even good to use, to be honest. The price also doesn't make any sense. I did some comparison, so GLM 5.2 is at $81.43 and costs $4 or $8.8 in the total run with max effort, while Sonnet costs $9 or $40 and only scores 55.71%. This model is quite bad. It doesn't bring anything new to the table at all. It's just better to use Opus or just use GLM because it's just so good compared to whatever this trash is. I don't know what they are doing at all. Some more stuff that is extremely weird with this model is that it tries to do a lot of stuff in the root directory temp folder. For example, let's say that I give Claude Code with Sonnet 5 a task like a math question. Then, instead of maybe making a folder inside the current working directory and working in that, it goes into the root directory of the machine and uses that temp folder to work with it, which is very weird. This makes it ask for permission all the time as well, because it is going outside the current working directory. The model is also pretty weird in a ton of places when using it with something like OpenCode, and it is even more weird. Like, it doesn't follow the system instructions well either. I don't know what that means at all, but it does happen. I don't find this model to be usable at all. It is like one of the worst models that I have tried in recent times, and especially for the price. It is just plain bad. After August, it will be even more expensive, which makes no sense to me at all. It is as if they are telling people it is cheap, but in fact, it costs more even with the current pricing. This is just straight up bad marketing, and this model shouldn't have been released. By the way, you guys can go check out my video on my AI Seeking channel about the new Instant Ramen Google image model. I was given early access to it, so I have shared my thoughts there as well. Overall, it's not so cool. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this video, consider donating through the Super Thanks option or becoming a member by clicking the Join button. Also, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye.